My name is Frank Williams, better known as Paulo.
And my name is Dana Williams, and thank you for tuning in with
OUISN
News.
Now for today's top news stories. Republican presidential nominee John McCain will visit Green Bay along with his nominee mate from Alaska, Sarah Palin. It will be their second visit to Wisconsin this month. The two had stopped in Cedarburg in early September after the conclusion of the Republican National Convention. Now with Zaina for Obama Watch.
Barack Obama made his remarks about the nation's economy, stating that the last 8 years has failed the American people, and despite Senator John McCain's plans of economic reform, his 26 years of service have returned a colossal failure. Barack stated that it is time for a new economic strategy, guided by the principle that America prospers when all Americans prospers, where common sense rules of the road ensures that competition is fair, open, and honest. He continued stating that is the strategy he will pursue as president, and he will bring the change we need to restore confidence in our financial markets and strength to our economic community.
Now here is Kamara Stewart.
Both Hurricane Ike and Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf Coast really hard. Despite the devastation in the nation's fourth largest city, Houston, Texas, it is estimated that Ike will cost less than Hurricane Katrina. Ike will cost the nations anywhere between $8 billion to $18 billion, compared to Hurricane Katrina's cost $40 billion in damage. Now here is Zaina Williams with an African report.
Thank you, Kumar. Sub-Saharan Africa is more heavily affected by HIV than ever. Approximately 1.9 million additional people were infected with HIV during the course of 2007. In just this past year, the 11 million children have been orphaned due to the HIV and AIDS epidemic. In the absence of prevention, treatment, and care efforts, it is expected that the AIDS death toll in Sub-Africa will continue to rise. Its social and economic consequences are already widely felt, not only in the health sector, but also in education, industry, agriculture, transport, human resources, and the economy in general. Help the orphan children at www.worldvision.org. Now let's hit the streets where Dante Kyles will give us the silent beatdown.
The silent beatdown for today is Greenland police were called to a resident near 34th and Wilburn Avenue just before 11 p.m. for a report of 2 people found dead. A neighbor became concerned when she had not seen or heard from the person who lived upstairs from her. The officer arrived at the scene and found out that there were 2 men dead. Milwaukee County medical examiner are investigating the circumstances surrounding these deaths. Also on the street beat, a Kenosha woman was found beaten to death in her home earlier this week. Police believe it was 2 teenage boys. The boys stated that they were planning to steal her Xbox. This is Dante Kyles with the silent beatdown. Be safe in the streets, and that's a wrap.
Now for today's top news sports report. The Brewers have fired Ned Yost and Dale Swain has been named interim manager. The Milwaukee Brewers lost a 5.5 game lead in the wild card chase. The Brewers are now a half game behind in Philadelphia Phillies of the wild card lead. Word just in. Andrew Bucket will be ready for the start of training camp, which starts September 30th. Andrew Bucket of the Milwaukee Bucks injured his ankle while playing for the Australian national team in the Olympics. Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay quarterback, will face his stiffest test of the year. The Green Bay Packers will face the undefeated Dallas Cowboys with a 2-0 record.
Thank you, Bob. Last week, an officer arrested a teenager that was riding his bike with 4 to 5 inches of blue and black boxer shorts showing. His saggy pants were violating Riviera, Florida's town law banning sagging pants. However, a judge has decided that this town law is unconstitutional after the teenager spent the night in jail. Voters in Riviera Beach decided on the town's law in March of 2008, and violators of sagging pants would pay a $150 fine or sentenced to community service, and habitual offenders could face the possibility of jail. The teenager's public defender stated, "We now have fashion police." The judge presiding over the fashion case stated, "The first time she saw the fashion, she didn't like it, but she realized that she was getting old. Now we are going to ask some of our fellow students from Outlook University, how do they feel about sagging?" Jordan, why do you sag?
Sometimes it's warm on the bottom of my legs, when it's cold outside. if my pants is all the way up, then I sag so they lower, and then the air don't ride up.
Well, Jordan, what's the point of sagging?
I don't know. I think most people do it so they can show what kind of boxers they have. Because sometimes I be having some expensive underwear on, and I just sag so I can show everybody what kind I got on. Like whatever I'm wearing under my clothes, under my pants.
Okay. Would you stop sagging or sag less if it was against the law?
Yeah, yes, maybe, depending on if I would get caught. Like, if I was in an area I knew I wasn't going to get caught, I'd sag. But if I was somewhere in public where there's a whole bunch of police, I would pull up my pants.
Okay. Do y'all know where sagging came from?
It came from jail. It did come from jail, though, because when you started sagging in jail, that's when everybody, and that's when you came out of jail, you stopped sagging, so your pants was already pulled up, so if you was in jail.
That's a myth.
No, it's for real. Then you go to jail then.
That's a myth. All you adults watching, that's a myth.
I think that it came from jail, too.
Taylor, where do you think sagging came from?
I think it came from jail because they don't have belts in jail. So if your clothes too big, it's just gonna fall down. You gotta find a way to hold them up.
Well, yes, it did come from jail, and it means that when the men sag, that means they are available. Thank y'all for sharing this interview with me and for joining me in the Law and Order Special. Speaking of Law and Order Special, here's Kamar Studer with the celebrities on trial.
African-American former football and actor O.J. Simpson, who was once on trial for the murder of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Goldman, is back on the courtroom today with an all-white jury with charges of robbery and kidnapping. Prosecutors removed 2 prospective African-American jurors, but Simpson's lawyers managed to eliminate those with the strongest opinions about his 1995 acquittal on murder charges. Some prospective jurors who stated that Simpson got away with murder have been thanked and told to go home. The ones who remained when jury selection ended said they could put aside any remaining options about his former trial involving the murder of his ex-wife and her friend. Most of the jury members said they didn't care that much about Simpson's trial of the century when it was televised. And that's the scoop on celebrities on trial. Back to Zayna Williams and Frank Williams with Everything Outlook.
I'm Frank Williams.
I'm Zayna Williams. Saying
My outlook is here. My outlook is clear.
Thank you.
That's a wrap.